I just got off a fairly grueling tour, book tour across the United States in a publicity campaign. And I was in places like Dallas, Atlanta, New York, Philadelphia, Chicago, San Francisco, LA, San Diego, etc. And in every city I went to, I really want to thank you all, because in every city I went to, there was at least 20 or 30 of you in the audience at the bookstores such as Barnes & Nobles and Borders, sitting there cheering me on. And it was very good, so thank you all very much. There was one complaint, though. Bookstore manager says, "My God, I have never seen such a big crowd for an unknown author." I said, "Well, yeah, well, there's things that we do here, you know, like this." She says, "But I have one complaint." I said, "What's that complaint?" He said, "Well, they really cheered and they loved you and they applauded and they agreed with everything you said, but they didn't buy any books." And I said, the reason they didn't buy any books is this family called the Yagers that supplied all of them. They go, "Who are those guys?" So anyway, thank you very much. 1 year ago, I got into free enterprise for the first time at the St. Louis and the TWA Stadium, where they're having the other free enterprise today. And I had never spoke to such a big crowd before in my life. My legs were shaking and all this. But it was at the TWA free enterprise thing 1 year ago that we launched Cash Flow 101, and Cash Flow 202 was launched subsequently that. And I really want to thank all of you, because without your support, none of those games would have gotten out there. So thank you for that. Now, so it is now 2 years later, 1 year after the TWA event, and I'm very happy today to announce that what we have, you are all part of the very first time, because there was a lot of demand from many of you. They said Cash Flow 101 and 202 are very good, but they're for the adults. They said we need something for kids, that we need to educate our young people. So as I stand before you today, today is the official USA and the official worldwide launch of Cash Flow for Kids. And as part of the Yager family requests that you be the first ones to have the first availability towards it. And so here it is today. This game was designed for young people 6 and up, so it's simple enough for some of you adults out there. And I'll be talking about Cash Flow for Kids a little later. The thing I'd like to talk to you about today is a subject that's near and dear my heart and many of your concerns out there, and that word is what's the word? Education. Thank you. And I was just 2 weeks ago, I was in South Carolina with Steve Yager looking at over your 377,000 square foot facility. I thought I drove up to General Motors or something when I saw the building out there. But what impressed me most was that 377,000 square foot facility. What impressed me about it was it shattered my old images of what I used to think of Amway. Because about 20 years ago, a friend of mine was in the business, and she showed me her closet. And her closet was just filled with soap and powder and cleaning fluids and all this. I went, and so I go to this 377,000 square foot facility, and I didn't see one bar of soap. Well, there was some soap in the bathroom, but that was not in the warehouse. And the thing that impressed me most is that what the Yager family has built, and the reason that I love coming to speak to you, is more than Quick Start, which is absolutely brilliant and leading edge. Your plan is brilliant, your compensation is excellent, but really I talk to you today out of concern for the subject of education today. Because I was listening. Thank you. Thank you. Please take your seats. Thank you very much. Love you guys. It's great. It was 5 years ago I was out here, and I first came to speak for Dexter's organization, his family. And I really did not know who Dexter Yager was. I'd like to just say this much, if you understand what I'm saying, is that ever since I became more famous, like I was on Oprah and all that stuff, I have a lot of requests to speak. And so to come here and speak is, you know, I do it because of the Yager family. Thank you. I'd just like to let all of you know here is that I've had time to check them out, to find out who they are. And all of you are here working with and helping other people build businesses to one of the finest families in the world. So I'm really honored to be here today. Beautiful wife, still young enough, I had my health, and I was free, and I didn't know what to do. So anyway, I came out of the mountains after another 6 months of or some revelation from God, which never came, and I came out of the mountains with my little Mac computer, and the only thing I had inside the computer was the rough draft of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So in April of 1997, I printed 1,000 copies of this book, thinking, okay, my rich dad has given me all this information. I wrote it up. I'm going to hand it back. I created my board game cache. And anybody who wants to hear about it can hear about it. But if nobody wants to hear about it, fine. You know, I've done my job. I reported what I learned. I put down in writing what I had learned. And I was going to move on. So then after April, we sent out copies to every book, you know, like all the big publishers and every distributor and bookstores, and they all sent the book back. They said, nice book, but we're not interested. So after about 3 months, I still had 1,000 copies of this book. And nobody wanted the thing. So I called my friend up in Austin, Texas, and I said, hey, Keith, you have this car washes. Would you mind putting some of my books in your car wash? And he said, we don't sell books in car washes. And I said, yeah, well, that's why I want to put them there. Because it'll be the only book in the whole place. And he says, I'll take 12 books on consignment. If they don't sell, you get them back. I said, yeah, okay, you know, no problem. And this is a true story. This is how Rich Dad, Poor Dad got started. So I shipped him 12 books. I called him a week later. He says, they're still here. They said, right by my cash register. Nobody wants them. I said, okay, well, that's fine. Keep them there. And then he called me up and he said, hey, guess what? About 2 weeks later, all the books are gone. I said, really? You want some more? He goes, no. You know? So then the time goes on and on and on. So now it was published in April. It's now about August. You know, nobody wants the book. I get this phone call and it's the guy from hello. I said, hello? He says, my name is Bill Galvin from Dallas, Texas. You know? I said, how you doing, Bill? He says, good book you got there. I said, oh, you the guy that bought it? He says, yeah, I got all 12 copies now. I said, really? Really? Oh, I appreciate it. Why'd you buy 12 copies? He says, well, how many copies you got left? I said, 1,000 minus 12. And he says, I'll take them. I said, you'll take them, all 1,000? And he goes, yeah. So who are you? He says, I told you, my name is Bill Galvin from Dallas, Texas. I said, yeah, but why do you want 1,000 copies? He says, because I'm a diamond with the Amway organization. I went, oh, I got it, you know. And ladies and gentlemen, that's how this book got started. So I'm here to say thank you all very much. And the book then spread by word of mouth. It just spread and spread and spread. We kept hearing from you and things like this. And so around, I think, December of '97, Bill invited me over to come to one of his retreats. And over there was the very first time I actually got to meet some of you. I met Diamond C.L. Foster and Lennon Ledbetter. And all of a sudden I began to realize that you guys were onto something. I said, this is quite interesting. And then about half a year later, in 1998, 2 years ago, right here in St. Louis, I spoke for the first time at your free enterprise. And that's when I met Dexter and Bertie Yager. And I didn't say much, and he didn't. Old Dex didn't say much. We just looked at each other and smiled, gave each other a big hug, and that was it. But the thing I want to say is this, is that the moment I met Dexter, I realized that he was exactly the same thinking as my rich dad, exactly. And that's what I think. So, many times I hear people say things within this organization, and it sounds like the same things my rich dad said to me, you know, such things as, don't sleep now, sleep next year, you know, things like that, just keep going. My rich dad had no reality on what most people thought was real. So anyway, I stand here tonight very simply to say thank you to the Yager family, Internet Services, all of you out there, the Diamonds, Bill Galvin, and it was actually Dr. Tom Burns who found the book, because the book has now spread. It's now 3 books have spread throughout the world. Dexter Yager has put on, in my opinion, and I've been around them for 5 years now, the best education, the best training, the highest of ethics, the highest of morality to become leaders in business. So, in closing, I often talk about what does it take. You know, when I hear of you guys going out there showing the plan and all this, I feel for you. I know what it feels like to be rejected. Just recently, because of my book Prophecy, well, you know, I mean, Wall Street has no sense of humor, you know what I mean? I'm predicting the biggest stock market crash in the history of the world to come. And these stupid journalists call me up, and they go, what gives you the right to predict a crash? And I said to him, I said, obviously you're not an investor. What do you mean? He says, all investors know that markets go up and markets come what? Down. Predicting a crash is like predicting snow at Christmas in Vermont. You know what I mean? It's no big deal. And so these journalists came out, and this was really horrible. A company called Smart Money. They sent a reporter to me, and I went to a church in Atlanta, Georgia, where I spoke to 5,000 people. I charged $75. So I don't know how much money that is, but it's a lot of money. It's about $350,000. I left every penny in that church. Why? I don't need the money. I don't work for money. But that reporter said I took it. So ladies and gentlemen, if you're in this business to help people, be very careful. Every time you show the plan, be very careful who you talk to. Love them with all your heart. Show them. Take the rejection. Take sometimes the bad press you get. Because really, what I feel for is this, is the most important thing you're learning by being in this business is this word here. The word is courage. You show that plan, you are building your courage. Every time that stupid you-know-what says no, you're building your courage. Every time they ask you why you're doing it, you're building your courage. Because if you're going to business, it's like, why do I write my books? I don't need the money and all that stuff. But I do it because of the courage it takes. The word courage comes from the French word le cœur. It means the heart. And that is the key of business. If you're going to be successful in this business, please come from your heart. Have the courage to do your best to help other people even though they reject you. And that's why I come in to support you, is that Dexter Yager and his organization, they're full of courage. The Diamonds have demonstrated tremendous courage. And what they're teaching you is the same thing my rich dad taught me, is no matter what other people say of you, have courage. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.